You're standing barefoot in the Danube at dawn, scrubbing blood and dust off wool that will never come clean. The water's so cold it burns, and you've been awake for 3 hours already. What you're about to do today, what every Roman legionary did for 400 years across 3 continents, would break most modern soldiers in a week. And the worst part? This is a good day. Your name doesn't matter. You're one of about 300,000 men keeping an empire together with your back and your boots. You signed up for 25 years. You're 3 years in. The sun isn't up yet, but you can already feel the weight settling onto your shoulders. 60 pounds of gear you'll carry for the next 20 miles before you're allowed to eat, sleep, or stop moving. And at the end of the march, you'll build an entire fortified camp from scratch before dark. Because if you don't, you'll sleep undefended in enemy territory. And Roman soldiers who do that don't wake up. Here's what nobody tells you about the Roman military. It wasn't the tactics or the discipline that conquered the known world. It was this. The fact that you could do the impossible every single day on a diet that would be illegal to feed prisoners today. Let me show you what one day actually felt like. You're dressed now. Tunic, belt, hobnailed sandals, kaligai. That'll shred your feet by noon. The sandals have iron studs on the sole, dozens of them, because you'll walk 5,000 miles in your career and leather alone won't last. You can hear them clinking across the camp as 10,000 men gear up in the dark. Then the armor. A linen undershirt soaked in vinegar to stop chafing. Then the loricae segmentata, those overlapping iron plates you've seen in every Roman movie. 30 pounds just for that. It pinches your shoulders. It'll pinch them for the next 12 hours. Now the weapons. Gladius on your right hip, the short sword that kills at kissing distance. Two pila, heavy javelins with a clever design. The iron shank bends on impact so the enemy can't throw it back. You tie them across your back. Then the shield, the scutum, curved rectangle of laminated wood, linen, and leather, edged in iron about 22 pounds. You don't carry it, you balance it on your left shoulder, and your arm goes numb by mile 5 every single time. But that's not the heavy part. Now comes the sarkina, your matching pack, suspended from a T-shaped pole, a furka, you hoist onto your other shoulder. Inside, a saw, a basket, a pickaxe, a sickle, a length of rope, 3 days worth of grain rations, a cooking pot, 2 wooden stakes for the camp wall, a cloak, and whatever personal items you managed to not lose. All of it tied in a bundle that digs into your collarbone like a knife. 60 pounds total. They say it feels like 80. The sun still isn't up. You fall into formation. Here's the thing about a Roman march. It's not a hike. It's not a walk. It's a military operation at forced march speed, in full combat kit, across whatever terrain the road gives you. And you do it in total silence. No talking, no singing, because you're not in Roman territory anymore. You're in Germania. The trees start 10 feet from the road, dark and thick, and every shadow could be a warband waiting to hit your flank. 20 miles is the standard iter iustum, a regular day's march. But you've done 30. You've done more. The legion that puts down the Batavian revolt covered 40 miles in a day, built a fort, then fought a battle the next morning and won. You march 6 abreast, columns stretching back 2 miles. The rhythm is everything. Left, right, iron studs crunching gravel, the whole column moving like one beast. Every 100 men, a century, keeps pace with the man in front. If someone falls, the whole line trips, so you don't fall. Your shoulders are already screaming. The pack pull is cutting a groove in your collarbone you'll have for the rest of your life. Muscle, then callus, then scar. Every veteran has it. By mile 8, your feet are bleeding inside your sandals. The iron studs don't care about blisters. You lean into the pain. There's no other choice. The man next to you is doing the same. He doesn't complain. neither do you. Because here's what makes a Roman legion different from every other army in the ancient world. You're not warriors, you're not heroes, you're builders. Soldiers who fight, yes, but soldiers who move mountains first. It's mid-afternoon when the column finally halts. 20 miles done. You're somewhere in the hills north of the Rhine, a place that doesn't have a name yet because Rome hasn't conquered it yet. Your feet are pulp, your back is on fire, and now the worst part of the day begins. You're going to build a fortress. Not a camp, not a rest stop, a castra, a fully fortified defensible military base complete with walls, gates, towers, ditches, and streets laid out in a perfect grid. You'll do this in under 4 hours because the sun sets at 8 and Roman soldiers do not sleep outside walls. Ever. The disaster at Teutoburg Forest, where 3 whole legions were wiped out in the German woods, happened because they got careless. You've heard the stories. You've seen the empty spaces in the ranks where those men used to be. So you dig. Drop the pack, keep the armor on. You're still in hostile land. Grab the pickaxe and the stakes. In the Centurion, your commander. It's already pacing out the camp perimeter with a surveying tool, shouting measurements. Every camp is identical. Square, 4 gates, 2 main roads crossing in the center. Doesn't matter if you're in Britain, Egypt, or here. A Roman camp looks like Rome, because if you can't see home, you build it. You start with the ditch. 3 feet deep, 4 feet wide, all the way around the camp perimeter. You're one of 80 men on this section. The dirt is clay and rocks. Your hands blister, then bleed, then go numb. You heave each shovelful into the growing embankment behind you. That's the wall. Dirt rampart, 6 feet tall, packed hard. Then you plant the stakes, the ones you carried for 20 miles, into the top. Tips sharpened, angled out. Now it's a palisade. Now it'll stop a cavalry charge. 2 hours in, the camp is taking shape. Rows of leather tents going up inside, 8 men to a tent, arranged in blocks by century. Latrines dug at the far end. Commander's quarters in the center. Powder dry efficiency. You've done this 70 times this year, so has everyone else. But here's the part that should blow your mind. This isn't a permanent fort. You'll tear all of this down tomorrow morning and do it again 20 miles west. Roman soldiers built a full fortified camp every single night on campaign. 4 months, sometimes years. Archaeologists have found thousands of these camps across Europe. The ditch lines still visible from the air, 2,000 years later, like scars on the land. You weren't just fighting an empire into existence. You were building it, one night at a time with your hands. It's nearly dark when the bucina sounds the camp is secure. You can finally eat. You stumble to your tent, 8 men, all from your conturbinium, your squad. You've lived with them for 3 years. You'll live with them for 22 more, if you survive. One of them is already pulling out the grain ration. 3 pounds of wheat per man per day. Except it's not wheat anymore. It's half barley. Cheaper, harder to digest, the kind of thing you feed animals, and it's not fresh. It was milled months ago, packed into sacks, carted across half of Gaul in the rain. When he opens the sack, you see them. Weevils. Tiny black beetles crawling through the grain like it's their city. You can pick them out, but there are hundreds. You can roast the grain and kill them, but then you're eating beetle ash. Most days, you just don't look. You grind the grain with a hand quern, mix it with water, shape it into flat cakes, and bake it over the fire. It tastes like dust and smoke. Sometimes there's salt, sometimes vinegar. Once a week, if you're lucky, you get bacon fat or chickpeas. This is what fueled the greatest military machine in ancient history. Moldy grain, crawling with bugs, cooked over a dung fire. You eat it anyway, because you marched 20 miles a day. Because you dug a fortress, because tomorrow you'll do it again. But here's the part that still makes historians stop and stare. You weren't miserable. You didn't mutiny. You didn't desert because Rome gave you something no other ancient power did. Certainty. Every 16 days you got paid denarii, actual silver coins. The same whether you were in Syria or Spain. You could save it, send it home. After 25 years, you'd get a pension and a plot of land. Your kids would be Roman citizens. You'd have status, property, a future. For a farmer's son from Gaul or Iberia, that was unimaginable wealth. So you carried the weight, you ate the weevils, you built the impossible. And it worked. For 4 centuries, Roman legions held a frontier 5,000 miles long, fought wars on 3 continents, and turned a city-state into an empire that still shapes the world you live in today. Every week here, we stop into a day history forgot, the real life, the sweat and stone and firelight, the people who built the world before us. Next time you're waking up in a Viking longhouse in the middle of winter and you're about to find out what they actually did when the sun didn't rise for 2 months. If you don't want to miss that, subscribe now, because these stories don't wait. It's full dark now. You're lying in tent, shoulder to shoulder, with 7 other men, still in your armor because the watch could sound any minute. Your feet throb. Your back is a single knot of fire. Somewhere outside, the centuries are pacing the walls you built. Tomorrow, you'll tear it all down, march another 20 miles, build it all again. And the day after that, and the day after that. The same boots, the same grain, the same 60 pounds, but every mile closer to something that would last 2,000 years.